Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shoyam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Shupadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitanscha Namo Vishnupadaya Prashnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Bande Gurun Nishabhaktani Samye Savatarakan Tat Prakasam Satat Sakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudadaye Puspavanto Chitro Sandau Tamanado Jadvaitam Brahma Panishadi Tadapyasya Tanubha Yatmantarayami Purushaiti Swasyam Sabhava Shadaishwarya Purna Jaiha Bhagavan Saswayam Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati Paratattam Param Iha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we were discussing about Guru Tattva. We have completed. Then we started with chapter 2, where Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to give reference from various Vedic literatures to establish that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna himself. The absolute truth is realized in three features: Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But that Brahma Tattva, Paramatma Tattva, and Bhagavat Tattva manifests fully in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that many people do not know. So in that way, people know there is a God Bhagavan, but who is Swayam Bhagavan? Means who is the origin of the manifestation of all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord. That original Bhagavan is not known to everybody. So in that way, in today's discussion, we're going to discuss the three features of the personality of Godhead, which all the spiritual practitioners know, that is called anuvad. Uh, and then Vidheya Tattva, which is unknown subject, is going to be discussed that how this Brahman Tattva, Paramatma Tattva and Bhagavat Tattva culminates in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comprises these three principles, Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So there is a statement in Shastra, which I mean to say in logic, Anuvadam Anutteva no vidheyam udirayet, means without speaking about Anuvad. Anuvad means known subject. Like in all the Vedic literatures, the known subject about God realization is realization of Brahma Tattva, realizing Paramatma Tattva, and realizing Bhagavat Tattva. All the spiritual practitioners, they have some conception about it. But how Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Krishna Bhagavan, is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unto him all these three tattvas culminates, that many people do not know. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he attempts to establish Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Parameshwar Bhagavan. That's why he is speaking in this verse, Jadadvaitam Brahma Panishadi Tadapyasya Tanubha Yatmantaryami Purushaiti Shosyam Shabhava Shadaishwarya Purnayo Iha Bhagavan Saswayam Ayam Na Chaitanya Krishna Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord, known as the Super Soul, is but his localized plenary portion. The Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with six opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Uh, So there is no other truth which is equal to or greater than him. That means na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati. Uh, in this world, there is no superior truth than Lord Chaitanya. So that is the point Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami establishes. So here he is saying, Jat Advaitam Brahma Panishadi. So there are spiritual practitioners who take to the path of jnana or yoga or bhakti to realize the supreme absolute truth. So those who are the students of Jnana Marga, Jnana Pantha, they come to the point of realizing the absolute truth as an impersonal. So impersonal feature is realized by those who are Jnanis, and those who are follower of the yoga, path of yoga, they realize the absolute truth as the partial manifestation of the Supreme Lord. And those who are the students of Bhakti school, the devotees, they understand the Supreme Lord in his six opulences. And in that path, those who follow the path of Bhakti, there are actually two divisions. One group of the spiritual practitioners, they try to understand the personality of Godhead or absolute truth, you can say, by realizing the mood of veneration. In the platform of veneration, they realize the absolute truth. that is called Aisharyatmika Anubhav. And then the second group of devotee who in the mood of sweetness, releasing the sweetness of love, they also experience the absolute truth. They are called Madhuryatmika. In first group, the manifestations of opulence of the Supreme Lord takes the predominance, whereas in the second group, the loving exchange between the devotee and the Lord occupy predominance. And in the first case, when somebody approaches with veneration to the Supreme Lord, they go to Vaikuntha Loka, they realize Narayana is the personality of Godhead, and in that way, they are in connection with the Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya. Then uh, Vatsalya and Madhur, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhur, they are mostly connected in the mood of the sweetness. That is called Madhuryatmika Bhava. And so that then Brajendra Nandan Sri Krishna is the personality of Godhead. He becomes their object of worship. And upon completing their sadhana practice in this world, they go to Goloka Vrindavan to serve him. So in that way, now this is how we understand there are three or different groups of spiritual practitioners who tries to realize the absolute truth differently, and their destinations are different. Or you can say, even while they are practicing this, spiritual life, at that time, they realize the absolute truth in three different ways. Like those who are jnanis, through the process of their, by following this jnana process, they realize the sat aspect of the absolute truth. Then those who are following yoga marga, they realize the chit aspect of the absolute truth. And then those who follow Bhakti Marga, they realize Satchit and Ananda aspect of the absolute truth. So in that way, there is a difference in realizing the Supreme. So Prabhupada explains that the compilers of the Upanishads speak very highly of the impersonal Brahman. The Upanishads, which are considered the most elevated portion of the Vedic literatures, are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association and who therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. So those who follow this path of jnana, they just simply want to uh, see the impersonal, they actually want to realize the impersonal aspect of the absolute, where uh, they realize actually partial and distant experience of the absolute. When we say partial and distant, so Prabhupada gives the example of seeing a hill from a distant location. That means you don't see distinctly the trees, or if there are some rocks, there is some spring. As we come closer, then it becomes a little bit clearer and clearer. As you enter into the forest, then you see so many varieties, starting with the pebbles, the stones, or the pathway, the trees, fruit trees, bushes. Then there is spring, there are some fruits. So you realize the detail. Similarly, those who are following the impersonal Brahman path, they realize the supreme absolute truth in a partial way and distinct way. So, but those who are following the path of yoga, then they realize him as Paramatma. Srila Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, to explain how he is seen as a super soul. Sarvasya Chaham Vidisannivishta. And following that one, he is quoting the verse from 529, Bhaktaram Jagyantapasam Sarvaloka Maheswaram, to indicate that the Supreme Lord, he is acting in his expansion as the super soul, is the proprietor of everything. And then further he quotes from Brahma Samhita to substantiate the argument that he is all pervading. How? Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastha. So some people who actually follow this path of yoga, they can realize this aspect, the Satchit aspect of the Supreme Lord, where they realize him in everything. He is all pervading. But those who realize the Supreme Godhead in Bhagavan feature, they realize that he is full of six opulences. And then Prabhupada gives on further describing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who possesses all six opulences incomplete. He actually accepted the renounced order of life because one of the opulence of the Supreme Lord is called Vairagya. So that means this renunciation, the mood of renunciation is seen complete in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada explains, Lord Chaitanya accepted the renounced order of life because he is complete in renunciation. Very important thing. See, he is complete in renunciation, that's why he can assume the path of renunciation. Others cannot imitate him, but can only follow in his footsteps as far as possible. Like in our society, we have, four divisions: Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. So those who are entering into sannyas ashram, they are expected to follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a conditioned soul, we can learn from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how to become a true renunciant. For example, after taking sannyas, how was the behavior of Lord Chaitanya? Even though he was a grahastha, prior to taking sannyas, so it gives the enlightenment to the devotees who are trying to renounce this world. They can actually follow the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way. Those who are unfit for this order of life are strictly forbidden by the injunctions of the Shastras to accept it. Lord Chaitanya, however, is complete in renunciation as well as all other opulences. He is therefore the highest principle of the absolute truth. So, in that way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been described in this verse as Jat Advaita Brahma Upanishadi, where all the Upanishads they give emphasis into describing the absolute truth as impersonal, and those who follow the path of yoga, they realize that absolute truth as localized plenary person as super soul. So who are they? They are Tadapyasya Tanuva. That Brahman, impersonal Brahman effulgence is the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And that brilliance is coming from his body. Whose body? Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati. This Brahman, Paramatma, they are none other than Lord Chaitanya. One is Chaitanya's, you can say, the plenary portion of Lord Chaitanya. Another one is coming from his Anga Jyoti, the rays emanating from his body. So in that way, he is the Krishna himself. That's why Bhagavan is being described in the next few verses. Brahma Atma Bhagavan Anubadatin Anga Prabha Angsha Swarupatina Vidhya Chinna. Impersonal Brahman, which is bodily effulgence of Lord Chaitanya, the localized Paramatma, That is the manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, the partial manifestations of Lord Chaitanya, and Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead, is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, uh, and the that is the kind of an explanation of this verse. So here it is said, Anuvada Tin. Anuvada means known subject. This Brahman, Atma, and means Atma means Paramatma, and Bhagavan, that is known to all these spiritual practitioners. Then Anga Prabha Angsha Swarup Tin Videya Chin. How Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bodily effulgence is Brahman, and this partial manifestation is actually coming from Lord Chaitanya. And Swarupa, Swarupa means he is the Supreme Lord himself in his original form. These are unknown facts to people. That is why it is called Tin Videya Chinna. So there is, as I was saying, is a rule in Nyaya Shastra, in logic, Anuvadam Anupeva na Vidheyam Udirayet. Without first mentioning about the Anuvad or known subject, one is not supposed to speak about unknown subject. So in that way, now people do not know that this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan feature belongs to Lord Chaitanya. Many people, they don't accept him as the personality of Godhead. So that is why what is known subject? Brahman, Atma, Bhagavan. So that is said first. Just like even in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Sutta Goswami, he also follows the same principle. Like he says, while counting while counting the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, she has counted 22, and some others said 24. Anyway, whatever 22 or 24 incarnations she has counted, and he has accepted Krishna as one of those incarnations first, and then finally he is saying Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Who is that Krishna? Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So that Swayam Bhagavan means here we have to understand that the Bhagavatva is seen in Krishna, not that Krishnatva is seen in Bhagavan. Very important, interesting point. Bhagavatva is seen, uh, mm, yeah, it is said that Krishnatva Bhagavatva Lakshana Dharma. The Bhagavatva is seen in Krishna. Krishnatva is not seen in Bhagavan. So that means the authority of Bhagavan is fully present in Krishna. Then the quality of being Lord Krishna is not seen in all Bhagavan. The quality of being Lord Krishna is not seen in on all Bhagavan. So here that is why it is said that this Brahma Tattva, Paramatma Tattva and Bhagavat Tattva is realized in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How it is realized? That now he is saying Anuvada age pache videyo sthapan sei artha kari suno shastra vivaran. A predicate always follows a subject. Now, I shall explain the meaning of this verse according to the revealed scriptures. And what is the revealed scripture? Now he is continuing. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Vishnu Paratattva Purnananda Purnagyana Purnananda Paramamahatva. Krishna, the original form of the personality of Godhead, is the Samandonam of the all-pervading Vishnu. He is all perfect knowledge and all perfect bliss. He is the supreme transcendence. Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. That Krishna is Vishnu Paratattva, Purna Jnana, Purnananda, Parama Mahatva. Many people in this world, they accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. But many people do not know that Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also the supreme. So now he is saying, Nanda Sutta Boli Jare Bhagavate Gai Shri Krishna Vatirna Chaitanya Gosai. He whom Srimad Bhagavatam describes as the son of Nanda Maharaj has descended to earth as Lord Chaitanya. Srila Vishwanath Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually writes in his Saranagati songs that Nanda Sutajini Chaitanya Gosai Nija Namakari Dana Tarila Jagato Tumiyo Jaya Laho Nija Paritrana. So, the son of Nanda Maharaj has appeared now in form of Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Goswami. And what he is doing, why he has come? Nija Namakaridan. He is distributing his own name, holy name. And so, Tarilo Jagat Tumiyo, he has delivered the world. So now you must go and take shelter at his lotus feet. That is the recommendation of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So in that way, without understanding who Lord Chaitanya is, how can people go to him? Therefore, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is speaking, प्रकाश विशेषता तेह धरे तीन नाम ब्रह्म परमात्मा स्वयं भगवान. In terms of his various manifestations, he is known in three features called the impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and the original personality of Godhead. In purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained the word Bhagavan in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. The personality of Godhead, being full of all conceivable and inconceivable potencies, is the absolute supreme whole. That means we can know him, at the same time he is beyond our reach. He is conceivable, he is inconceivable. He is Bhagavan. Not that you know him fully, then he is Bhagavan. No, we can understand him to a certain degree. Means to the degree he reveals himself to you, you can understand him. So in that way, that Bhagavan word is being further described by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. The first syllable of the word Bhagavan is Bha, means sustainer and protector. The next letter Go means leader, pusher, and creator. Ba means dwelling. All living beings dwell in the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord dwells within the heart of every living being. That is the meaning of Ba, dwelling. He is dwelling in the heart of every living entity, and all the living entities dwell in him. Like this cosmic manifestation is the manifestations of the energy of the Supreme Lord. When we are playing, we are growing our food to eat, whatever we are doing through taking advantage of Krishna's energy. So in that way, Lord is actually our dwelling place. Lord is our dwelling. We should not by mistakenly think, oh, this material world is Bhagavan. Then Bhagavan has become matter. No, that should not be understood like that. Anyway, so then combining all these concepts, the word Bhagavan carries the import of inconceivable potency in knowledge, energy, strength, opulence, power, and influence, devoid of all varieties of inferiority. So that is how it explains the Bhagavat Tattva Bhagavan. Then this Bhagavan, the connection between Bhagavan and the living entities are very beautifully described in this purport, that how he sustains all the living entities as Paramatma. Prabhupada giving an analogy that the living entities are his infinitesimal particles and are qualitatively one with him. They are sent into this material world for material enjoyment, to fulfill their desires, to be independent individuals. But still, they are subject to the supreme will of the Lord. The Lord deputes himself in the state of supersoul to supervise the arrangements for such material enjoyment. The example of a temporary fair is quite appropriate in this connection. If the citizens of a state assemble in a fair to enjoy for a short period, the government deputes a special officer to supervise it. Such an officer is invested with all governmental power, and therefore he is identical with the government. When the fair is over, there is no need for such an officer, and he returns home. The Paramatma is compared to such an officer. So, through this example of how people they assemble together for a short period of time to enjoy in a festival, like we have this, Kumbh Mela, Rath Yatra, or we have, so many other festivities going on. Then for that short period of time, as long as the fair is there is a police department. eh? In Kumbh Mela, for a few months, maybe, yeah, they construct a police department there. And when fair is over, then this police department, he goes back to his head office in Kolkata. He is not there in the Kumbh Mela anymore. Anyway, similarly, this Paramatma's head office is the Supreme Lord. So when the fair is over, that means when the entire creation dissolves, Paramatma is there in his head office. And when the next time creation starts, then again Paramatma is accompanying everybody to help them to get their enjoyment. So in that way, so this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also playing the same part. We can see, you can say, how come Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a Paramatma, he is the dwelling place in all the living entity? How does it work? Yes, we can give you some reference, lot of references from Chaitanya past time, like at one time, one of his Chaitanya's associate who was actually harassed by the Muslim people. And dead at night, he knew that if he is not going away from his house with his girl and his wife, then they are in a very dangerous position. So dead at night, he came to the bank of Ganga. And that time, there was no boat to take him to the other side of the river. And all of a sudden, he found that one man brought a boat to him and helped him to cross the river. And afterwards, when he meet with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "You remember, on such and such day when you are trying to cross the river, who brought the boat for you? Huh? That was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, he understands what is going on with my devotee, and he makes all the arrangement. Of course, he is also Bhagavan in that case. In case of Haridas Thakur, when he was being beaten in 22 marketplaces, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took all the beatings in his own back. And afterwards, it was proven that it was not Haridas Thakur who took all the beatings, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So He is actually Bhagavan, and we actually don't see him as super soul, that as a super soul he knows this and he's reacting with the devotee in that way. No. Krishna, he is very dear to his devotee and he wants to personally take care of the devotee as Bhagavan, as Yoga Kshemam Bhamyam. So in that way, the all-pervading truth that exists eternally during the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world, and in which the living beings rest in trance, is called the impersonal Brahman. So, like here in this world, we don't see the Supreme Lord's presence personally, but we see through his energy. That is the impersonal realization about the absolute truth. So that have been further described in text number 11 by taking the reference from Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवान इति शब्दते. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth say that it is non-dual knowledge and is called impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit verse appears as the 11th verse of the first canto's second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sutta Goswami answers the questions of sages headed by Saunaka Rishi concerning the essence of all scriptural instructions. So the Tattva had been defined as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So devotees of the Lord, they understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uh, uh, so a devotee does not see anything else except his relationship with Krishna. So in that way, a devotee realizes him fully. Second paragraph Prabhupada writes actually, devotees of the personality of Godhead know that Sri Krishna, the son of King of Braja, is the absolute truth. They do not discriminate between Sri Krishna's name, form, quality, and pastimes. One who wants to separate the Lord's absolute name, form, and qualities from the Lord Himself must be understood be lacking in absolute knowledge. A pure devotee knows that when he chants the transcendental name, Krishna, Sri Krishna is present as transcendental sound. He therefore chants with full respect and veneration. When he sees the form of Sri Krishna, he does not see anything different from the Lord. If one sees otherwise, he must be considered untrained in absolute knowledge. Uh, that's why we have the deities in the temple, we serve them, we respect them accordingly. So wherever we see him, whenever we go to see him, we know our relationship with him as the servant, and we try to offer service to the Supreme Lord. তাহার অঙ্গের শুদ্ধ কিরণমণ্ডল উপনিষদ কহে তারে ব্রহ্ম সুনির্মল. What the Upanishads call the transcendental impersonal Brahman is the realm of the glowing effulgence of the Supreme Person, of the same Supreme Person. Then text number 13. চর্মচক্ষে দেখে যাইছে সূর্য নির্বিশেষ জ্ঞান মার্গে লইতে তারে কৃষ্ণের বিশেষ. As with the naked eye, one cannot know the sun except as a glowing substance. Merely in the philosophical speculation, one cannot understand Lord Krishna's transcendental varieties. Like, for example, if you ask the common people in this world, who are taking advantage from the sun's presence in their day-to-day life. How many of them will be able to give a clear understanding about sun globe? Nobody actually. But if you go to people who chant this Gayatri mantra, uh, who chant Gayatri mantra, they can give a clear explanation about the object of their meditation, what they see uh, uh, while chanting Gayatri mantra, what do they realize actually. That's why Prabhupada says this Gayatri mantra is meant for people who are spiritually advanced. It helps them to realize the superior truth. So, in that way, when people who are engaged in chanting this Gayatri mantra, they can give a better explanation about the sun globe, sun god, Narayana, in sun globe, even we can say in particular. Whereas persons who are not aware of this Gayatri mantra, they will not have any information. They will say, oh, this is just like a kind of an effulgence, like an impersonal. So in that way, charma raksha dekha jaise surya nirvishesh. With our material eyes, we see this sun as without variegatedness. But when you know uh, the varieties of the Supreme Lord as Bhagavan, oh, then you realize uh, who he is. To explain that, here it is said that Jasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Shushesha Vasudha Vibhuti Bhinnam Tad Brahma Nishkalamanantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. This verse appears in the Brahma Samhita 540. Each and every one of the countless universes is full of innumerable planets with different constitutions and atmospheres. All these come from the unlimited non-dual Brahman or complete whole, which exists in absolute knowledge. The origin of that unlimited Brahman effulgence is the transcendental body of Govinda, who is offered respectful obeisances as the original and supreme personality of Godhead. So one may ask this question, this is Brahma Samhita speaking about Krishna. Why Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is referring to these verses here? Yes, because now he need to establish the qualities which have been defined by Lord Brahma to establish Krishna as the personality supreme Lord, Godhead. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, so how all these qualities are present in him to establish Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as God himself. He is therefore giving all these references. Then he says, Koti Koti Brahmande Je Brahmere Vihuti Sai Brahma Govinder Hai Angakanti. Lord Brahma said, the opulences of the impersonal Brahman spread throughout the millions and millions of universes. That Brahman is but the bodily effulgence of Govinda. Sei Govinda bhajiami teho mor gati tahar prasade mor hoy srishti shakti. I worship Govinda. He is my Lord. Only by his grace am I empowered to create the universe. So here Brahma is speaking about himself, how he is actually empowered by Govinda to create the universe. Then Munaya Bhatavanasa Sramanardhumanthina Brahmakyam Dhamate Janti Santa Sannyasino Malaha. Naked saints and sannyasis who undergo several physical uh, penances, who can raise the semen to the brain, and who are completely equipoised in Brahman, can live in the realm known as Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka's position is described by Prabhupada in the purport. In this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 16:647, Bhata Vasana refers to mendicants who do not care about anything material, including clothing, but who depend wholly on nature. Such sages do not cover their bodies even in severe winter or scorching sunshine. They take great pains not to avoid any kind of bodily suffering, and they live by begging from door to door. They never discharge their semen, either knowingly or unknowingly. By such celibacy, they are able to raise the semen to the brain. Thus, they become most intelligent and develop very sharp memories. Their minds are never disturbed or diverted from contemplation on the absolute truth, nor are they ever contaminated by desire for material enjoyment. By practicing austerities under strict discipline, such mendicants attain a neutral state, transcendental to the mode of nature, and merge into the impersonal Brahman. So that have been defined in Brahmanda Puran. Siddha lokostu tamaso pare yatra vasantihi siddha brahma sukhe magna daityascha hrinahata. This is the position of the the Gyanis who desire to merge with the impersonal Brahman. They go to Siddhalok, which is beyond. The location of Siddhaloka is beyond Viraja. Siddhalokastu tamaso pare means beyond this tama world, material world. And you can see, to attain to that platform, they need to become a strict celibate. And they do actually accept God as Bhagavan, but they don't believe in the personal feature of the Supreme. That's why they are always trying to meditate on the impersonal feature, and whatever cultivation they have, that is they are in object of meditation. I mean to say the impersonal bodily effulgence, and by strictly following their sadhana practice, they may attain that. Uh, then you can imagine, if somebody wants to know the Supreme Lord as Bhagavan, then how strict that person should be, and to understand the higher concept of the absolute truth, which is beyond even Brahman concept. So here, those who are trying to attain him in his Brahman feature, if they have to undergo such severe austerities, then you can imagine, as a devotee of Lord Krishna, how much austerities we must perform so that we can attain him as Bhagavan. Okay, any question or comment, whatever we have discussed so far today?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So, in the purport to verse number 11, in the last, near the end of the purport too, so it was saying empiric philosophers who pursue the impersonal Brahman accept only the knowledge that the personality of living entity is non-different from the personality of Supreme Lord. That is understood as jnanis. We can understand too. The mystic yogis who try to allocate the Paramatma accept only the knowledge that the pure soul is not different from super soul. It's both the same. So even the yogis also, they don't, or they don't consider the same as the living entity, same as the super soul, or
they see equally a pebbles, a gold or stone. See, so that is the kind of example given in Bhagavad Gita, Samalashtrasma Kanchana. The yogis actually, they are also jnanis. The yogis are also jnanis. Those who pursue the path of knowledge, after some time they start this Ashtanga yoga process, and by constantly meditating on how they can have equal vision, they practice the yoga, and then they come to this point of realizing that the Prabhupada is saying mystic yogi who try to locate the Paramatma accept only the knowledge that the pure soul is non-different from the super soul. That means they, by studying Upanishads at the same time, studying Upanishads is an aspect of jnana. Then at the same time, when they are practicing this Ashtanga Yoga process, they try to realize the 8 qualities that belong to the Supreme Lord and also that belongs to the soul. But Atma and Paramatma, they have this 8 qualities. What is that? Bijara, Bimirtu, Vishoka. So these are the qualities, Abhipasa. So these are the qualities actually both the soul and super soul has. When we say they see equally, there is no difference between soul and super soul, means these 8 qualities have been defined here. Quality wise same, but quantity wise different. So they don't understand this difference. That's why they feel now you have become God because you have attained the same quality. In Upanishad, it explains about how these 8 qualities are realized by the yogis or even jnanis. That is what it is referred to here. That is the meaning of soul and super soul being equal, attaining these 8 qualities, having the 8 qualities, which is common in both soul and super soul.
Okay, is there a way to, can you explain or can you list out the 8 qualities in the English translation as well?
Yeah. I have to, I now see.
Maybe next time, bro, whenever you get time, bro.
Oh yeah, I can give you, no problem. It says, a few I remember right now, Vijara, Bimrittu, Vishoka, Apipasa, Vijighatsa, and 2 more I'm kind of, 3 more I need to, I can send it to you.
Yeah, sure. Also, what is the destiny? So, impersonal Brahman, we said Nisiddha Loka across the material world. The yogis, do they also have the same destination to meditate and they realize the Paramatma feature? Where do they go after sort of leaving the body on top of their head, whatever it is?
You see, the yogis, if they attain perfection, then they attain Santarati.
Oh,
okay. Santarati means they may be at best be promoted to the Vaikuntha to become a Santa Bhakta, devotee in Santaras, where there is not much engagement happening. They just meditate and they actually be blissful. That is their destination. That's why this Salukya, Sasti, Samipya, Sarupya, these liberation, these muktis are attained by these practitioners. They may attain that mukti, liberation. If they don't attain that, then they are false yogis and they are in this world. They are not going anywhere.
Okay.
A real yogi will finally, under the guidance of a bona fide guru, will try to attain one of these muktis.
Okay. So,
and if they are perfect, then they will attain their position in the spiritual world.
Because yogis, if they attain the same sarupya, the same form as the Lord, is this fine? Or because then they won't be in the shantaras because they will be constantly engaged in serving the Lord. In the
No. See, that is the difference. They are serving, when you say in Goloka Vrindavan, okay, in Goloka Vrindavan, bamboo, he is in Santaras, and the cow is in Santaras, birds, beasts are in Santaras, trees, they actually serve. But in Vaikuntha, uh, their service aspect is not as prominent as you see in Goloka Vrindavan Santaras. Rather, the yogis who are in Santaras, they actually experience the bliss of meditating on the Supreme Lord. Even though they are there, they are not necessarily serving. Or what kind of service they are doing, there is not much information available with me. You don't equate, even if they are engaged in doing some service, that service is cannot be equated with the devotees who are in Santara serving the Lord in Golok Vrindavan. It is not like that. There is a difference.
Okay. So the destination of yogis as the Shantarasi or Shantarati is different than actually devotees who get liberation with Vaikuntha and serving as Dasyaras. They also different
Oh,
things.
of course, there is a lot of difference. There is a lot of difference.
Okay.
There is a lot of
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Sandram Das. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, I had one question which means I've been confused about this for quite some time. I want to know in simple terms, how do we understand impersonal Brahman? I understand that it's the effulgence of the Lord, but I'm not able to connect it to anything. I'm not able to.
Very good and practical question, Sadhu, you have asked. Thank you for asking. That means you have been meditating on this aspect of the philosophy quite some time. That's why you are able to ask. I think, are you familiar with this phrase from Shastra called Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Normally, the Mayavada school, they quote this quite often to explain everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. So whatever you see present before you is nothing but a manifestation of the aspect of the absolute truth, which is called Brahman. And here we are saying that Brahma Anga Kanti, that is the bodily rays which is emanating from the Supreme. Okay. How do you understand that? First of all, this is a question you're asking. So the bodily ray, in one way, definitely the ray which is like the rays emanating from the sun, called sun ray, Rasmi Chata. So that is one way of realizing. Another way of realizing the ray which is emanating from sun god is called sun's energy. That ray which is emanating from the sun god, helping us to run the machineries in this world. The electricity which is being produced, the original source of this electricity is the sun god actually. Okay, that is the reflection of sun's energy which you see in form of sunlight, in form of electricity, or any lamp you are burning, or the machineries they are working. That is the transformation of sun's energy. Okay. In the similar way, when you say how to realize that the bodily rays are the manifestation as Brahman, how to realize that? So that I say, if you understand the aspect of Brahman, the absolute truth, is his energy aspect, then how his energies are reflected or manifested in this world, that you can understand by studying scripture. That means, according to our Vaishnava analysis, that Sarvam Khal Idam Brahman, Brahman is ever present in everything, in all the manifestations of this material world, in form of Brahman's energy, can be realized by scrutinizing study of the Shastra. That is actual Brahman realization. So in that way, when we realize Brahman, everything what you see around us is an energy of Brahman. That is his rays in that context, and you can realize that as you do this scriptural study again and again. Otherwise, just hallucinate on Brahman, impersonal. Like you see, if you see the apple, if apple is so nice, it's very good looking, and it is fresh, it is so tasty, it has a nice form, it has a fragrance, and when we eat it, your hunger is satisfied, you get nourishment. So a lot of things coming to you, the qualities. So if this something that like an apple, which is created, which is one of the creation of God, can have this energy aspect of the Lord, can have so much to understand for us, then what is it there in him as Bhagavan? So this is how actually we realize Brahman. And he is Param Brahman. Means by studying Brahman, you realize Param Brahman. That is real Brahman realization. Otherwise, just simply thinking of Brahman is his bodily rays. What does it mean by bodily rays? His energy is manifesting in this material world that you understand by studying Shastra, and what is its relationship in connection with the Bhagavat Tattva. That is real Brahman realization that we have as a devotee.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. One follow-up question is the energy that holds the planets together in the orbits and keeps everything intact. Which form of energy is that? Is it the Brahman energy, or is it the Paramatma form?
Very good question. That is actually in Paramatma feature. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastam. He is actually present in all atoms. That's why he is making everything floating in air. That is Paramatma feature, is actually keeping everything together. That is not Brahman.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you.
Prabhu, I have a follow-up question, Prabhu. If you Prabhu, so in the 11th chapter, if I'm not wrong, the opulences of the Absolute. When on the 10th chapter, I think, sorry, the opulence of the Absolute, all the vibhutis of Krishna, when he explains, or when he gives a small list. So all the list a part of the Brahman feature or the Paramatma feature, because Krishna gives so many things. So when you say the manifestation of that energy in the material world, that is what vibhuti is. Krishna saying of the Himalayas I am this, of this I am that. In material world,
that is why we as a devotee, we don't always try to say in terms of that Brahman or Paramatma feature.
Yeah.
Rather, we see that is the kind of beauty of the Supreme Lord. For example, when you see somebody is very intelligent, you remember, oh, God has such a beautiful creation. This man is so intelligent, he can remember so many things. Through him, you are actually realizing the Supreme. That means when you see the beautiful creation, you're supposed to see the Supreme through that. That is why it is called Vibhuti. Even if you say Brahman, then it is becoming more kind of an impersonal way of realizing him. No, you understand, if somebody who has created a man who is intelligent like this, then what kind of intelligence he must be having, who has the creator, who has created this intelligence. So that is what it is, kind of, our approach is, as a Vaishnava. A Jnani may think like that, oh, this is Brahman, everything is Brahman. This is energy. This is so they don't actually connect. That's why we describe this as Vibhuti. Balam Balavata Chaham. He is the strength of the strong. So you find somebody with such a performance as Herculean task, you are not mesmerized by, oh, this is Brahman. What does it mean? No, you actually appreciate God through that person's endeavor. Oh, he is so empowered by the Lord to accomplish such a Herculean task. God is so great. So kind, so merciful to such a soul. So like that, So in that way, we see the vibhuti of the Lord. Not that we say Brahman, we say that is the vibhuti of the Lord. That is the power of the Lord has become manifest in such a soul.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you so much, Will.
Actually, the interesting point is when we study Shastra, we're supposed to know what purpose is served through this section of Shastra. Otherwise, we will become just a simple philosopher. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, there are so many philosophers in the world who can, speak out, who can speak very nice philosophies. It does not necessarily mean they are realized souls. Right? There are so many Gyanis, so many philosophers, they write so many volumes of books. Do you think they all realize the God? They are all spiritual people? Maybe somebody may say it's spiritual people, but have they realized? He says to realize, to have God realization, one needs to, along with the cultivation of philosophy, engage himself in some service. Physically, he should be engaged in serving the Lord. So that is how gives him God realization. On the other hand, without employing himself in the service of the Supreme Lord, he's just studying, he will just become a philosopher. And he will not realize the God actually. So similarly, when we are studying Shastra, we should understand that what aspect of the Vaishnava concept is being communicated to us through this philosophical aspect. If we are able to catch that, then we can very easily streamline our thought process to connect with the understanding about the absolute truth as Bhagavan. That is the goal of studying Shastra. Does it make sense? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Totally makes sense, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Beautifully explained.
Narottam Vilas Prabhu, is this session recorded?
Yes, Prabhu. It's live on YouTube and as well as Facebook, Prabhu. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we'll conclude our session today. I hope next time you can announce other devotees because we were off for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Devotees are still wondering maybe whether there's class or not. That's why maybe we have got less attendees today. Try to announce next time, and we'll continue from the next week, Mahaprabhu willing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Namaha
Vaishnavebhyo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.